Hi, y'all. Okay, so this one, this final soap is a tribute to my dad. I lost my father last year, um, coming up on November. And, I was a daddy's girl. Didn't realize it till after my dad passed because we talked every day. I just thought it was a normal thing. We talked every day on the way to work, on the way home from work. We talked about everything. We solved the world's problems every morning before 8:30. And then we solved them again every evening between 5:30 and 7. I could call my daddy for anything, and he was always encouraging me for anything I did. And he would always say, open up with, "What's your story, Morning Glory?" And I would have a story, of course. But anyway, my dad shared with me his likes and his dislikes. And he shared with me old movies, and he shared with me history. Well, one of the movies that he really liked was Buck and the Preacher. And he liked Buck and Preacher because it was one of the first movies that Sidney Poitier, and I hope I'm saying his name right, that Sidney Poitier directed, and Harry Belafonte was in it. It was a cast of mostly African Americans, and it was about the Old West after the Civil War. And it was depicting or telling the story of um, a wagon master, which was Sidney Poitier, that would help freed slaves to the other side of, I forgot where it was. I want to say Montana, but I could be wrong. But anyway, to some free land where they got the 40 acres and a mule. And the terrain they had to cover and everything. Anyway, they have once they made it to a certain point, um, Buck, Sidney Poitier, had made arrangements with the Indians, the tribe that was a part, the tribe that protected that a certain part of the land where the buffaloes and everything was. That if he paid them, they would get safe passage, and they would fend off the soldiers or anybody chasing them, and they could eat only what they needed of the buffaloes while they was making their passage to the free land. And of course, this is after the Civil War, and there were a lot of plantation owners that had sharecroppers, and they did not like this because the sharecroppers, which were former slaves, is what kept them in business. So they paid people and first they put a bounty on Buck's head, and they paid people to go after these freed slaves, and to destroy everything they had, so they would have no choice but to be broken and come back and work the land for practically nothing. So Buck was a wagon master, and he was paid, but his goal was to get people to the free land. Ruth was his wife, his woman, okay, and she was on the outskirts. And every time that they tried to, the people that were paid to go after Buck, try to capture Buck, they would watch Ruth's home, hold her hostage, or do whatever. And so Ruth was showed stability. She showed that she stood by her man, and that she was always calm and patient. And she was there. She was his support. She helped him. She helped him with the freedom passage. She hid him. She hid his people. She did whatever she had to support her man. And so this soap is a tribute to Ruth, which was played incidentally by Ruby Dee, which was one of my dad's favorite actresses. He looked up to her, Ruby Dee. So without further ado, let me get to making soap. Okay, before we get started, I'm gonna tell you what fragrance I'm using, and this soap is named after Ruth of a old Western movie that Ruby Dee played in. And this soap is called Faithful Ruth, and I'll go into her story later. So the fragrances I'm going to use are French Cade Lavender. Now this is going to be a blend because I just thought I like to blends, and this essential oil I'm going to be using, and I blended it a combination till I got the fragrance I wanted. And I'm going to use, it's going to have several colors in it. It's going to have 24 karat mica from Nature's Garden. It's going to have for mad oils. It's going to have grape knee high, okay, for mad oils. And it's going to have Mad Oils Key West. It's going to have Falling Star Mica from Muddy Soap Company. A little bit of titanium. And I forgot to tell y'all, all of my soaps have silk in it, mulberry top silk. This silk is so nice. I was using a Tulsa silk until I started using this. This is silk that I put in it. It is so nice. And I put that in live water so the slip is much nicer, in addition to the kale and clay. So anyway, I'm not going to talk. Oh, and I'm going to have flowers on top of the soap. I'm going to have blue flowers, and you'll see them. So I'm not going to talk while I'm blending, and then afterwards, when I'm mixing, I'm going to talk. Okay, so what I've learned from all of these others is that it's all about mixing and pre-mixing and measuring off. So I need the bottom layer to be this color. So I'm gonna go on and add this. Okay. I pre-mixed it, but it looks like it's gotten harder. I guess I didn't mix it good enough. Hold on a second. There's always so many different ways to skin a cat. Let's do this. Okay. I call myself gonna be ready this time, y'all. I figure by the end of this year, I'll be a pro at this. Okay. Okay, and I'll mix it some more in a minute. Okay. Now, let's see. These are the colors. Okay, so let's do these. This is gonna be pretty. Okay, get that out of there. Okay, now I got, let's see, put that in there. I love these towels. Okay. So, let me tell you a little bit about Buck and the Preacher. That's the name of the movie that Ruby Dee played in as Ruth. So that movie, it was the first movie that Sidney Poitier edited and produced and directed. Okay. And the era was after the Civil War. And yeah, that's good. The era was after the Civil War, and the way it was supposed to be, the era was after the Civil War, and he was a wagon master. Sidney Poitier played a wagon master, and Harry Belafonte played a preacher. And as a wagon master, and before he was a wagon master, he was in the Union Army. And afterwards, the slaves were freed, and they were promised 40 acres and a mule. Thing is, they had to get to it. It was in a certain part of the country. So they could stay in the South and remain sharecroppers, or they can go on to their, what was promised them. So it was hard terrain. Of course, most of these slaves hadn't been anywhere off the plantation. And so they would save their money as sharecroppers, and they would pay somebody to lead them, a wagon master. And they would take all of their belongings and their family, because it was their hope of freedom. And so, okay, y'all, I'm thinking while I'm doing this. Okay, so it was their hope of freedom. So what I'm going to do first is the bottom. So I'm going to put a little oil in this, and then I'm going to pour it. Okay, so it was their hope of freedom. And so Ruth was Buck's wife, and she lived in between the South and the free lands. And in between, Buck would go check on his wife. So Ruth would go check on Buck would go check on his wife. And that was like his saving grace, or his stability, or whatever you want to call it. And when a bounty was put on his head, they started the bounty hunters started casing out the place. Well, Ruth and Buck were been in love and married for so long, they had codes, and he would know when he came home if someone was there, because their goal was to, of course, capture him. But she always gave him signs so he would know whether it was safe to come home or to just go on his way. And so after a while, it got so dangerous. After a while, it got too dangerous for him to leave Ruth, so he took her with him. And Ruth was a faithful wife. She loved him so much, and she believed in his cause and what he was doing to help these freed slaves, no matter the cost. And sometimes she had to help him with the slaves not the free slaves. I guess that's what you call them back then. She had to help them get to the safe passage. The safe passage was on the other side of Indian Territory, which Buck had made an agreement with. I'm not going to tell y'all the whole movie. It's a good movie. But anyway, the reason why I liked it for two reasons. One is because my daddy liked it. My daddy loved Sidney Poitier, and he loved Westerns, and he loved this movie for a lot of reasons. One, because Harry Belafonte was in it, and Sidney Poitier, and the other is because Ruby Dee was in it. Ruby Dee was is an exceptional actress. She was married to Ozzie Nelson, and they was married even up till he died. I mean, there was one of those Hollywood marriages that just, lasted over a time. And they were activists in the community also. And this was one of them. This was one movie that Ozzie Nelson wasn't in, but Ruby Dee was in. And this was a good movie. And you have to see the movie to really appreciate it. There's a lot of history in it. There's a lot of truth. It's a really good movie. And so, and I just think looking back also, that it's no accident that the main character that Ruby Dee played, her name was Ruth, like the Bible. Ruth, she was a very strong woman, and she knew what she wanted, and she was faithful. And so that is why this is called Faithful Ruth. So let me get to make, this is, let me see if this is ready. Okay, I think I can pour this now. I need to get it a little bit more. Making these soaps and following through, when we made the sample, it was easy because the camera wasn't on. It's after you put the cameras on and you start practicing this, it gets really challenging. I thought the hard part, y'all, was actually choosing the fragrances and the colors and all of that. But the hard part seems to be the editing and things, because I'm learning. We've had to do several different retakes, and I'm learning as I work through this. We're learning. I'm gonna move this over here so it's not a catastrophe. I love these towels because I can wash them, and it's not always throwing away a lot of paper towels. After we edit, it's funny, we have only like literally, I think the longest one I've had after we edit everything, take everything off, is like 22 minutes. We record more, but it's like only 22 minutes made the cut. It's funny. Okay, so let me pour this one. Okay, let me see if I can do this right. Okay, let me see if I'm doing it right. I feel like I'm making it dip, go down in there. I hope I'm not. But if I am, oh well. I love the smell, this combination, and I don't know what made me do, well, I do. I wanted something soft, but at the same time I wanted something to have a reflection of nature, because a lot of it, the movie takes place there in nature. They're out in the beautiful country riding the trails to get to freedom, and they have to go through Indian territory, which Buck had made an agreement and paid for them to go through, that if they make it to passage to Indian territory when they're out running the bounty people that was trying to make them go back and be sharecroppers, that they were safe. They had a safe passage because he paid for it, and they can eat what's on the land as long as they wasn't greedy about it. And so, and the Indians wouldn't let anybody else come in, so that was good, I thought. Let me show you what my intentions was right here. So when I designed this soap, I wanted, Ruth will wear these long skirts. You know, it was the old pioneer days, 1800s. And she would wear these beautiful tops and have this like collar, like tie. And so what I did was this right here represented the skirt, okay, and this was the blouse. Then this was the collar, you know, where she tied it ruffle. And then there's the flowers, because there was always flowers around the front of the house. And so that's how I came up with this. Okay, and so that's what I'm gonna do here, is attempt a little drop swirl, but a light one. I gotta let it work its way through. While it's doing that, I'm gonna get the flowers, and I'll show you the flowers that I'm getting blue. They're called blue, what do they call these? Blue, cornflowers. I'm using cornflowers that I got from Muddy. Let's see, there, I don't know if you can see them. See, well, I'll do it like this, see? Those. So I'm gonna put those on top after I do the drop in it, the drop swirl. Okay, it's ready now. So I'm gonna do the drop swirl. I'm just gonna do a light drop swirl. So let's try with this first. Okay. 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 There. Okay, so now I just need this to thicken up just a little bit more. And what I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna layer it on top like you saw, and then I'm gonna put the cornflowers on it. And it's gonna look like this when I'm finished. This did dip down a little bit right there. So this needs to set up a little bit. I'm not gonna wait on that, but you'll see it at the cut. Until the cut, see you in a second, guys. Okay, it did set up some, so I'm gonna go on and this is what I do, y'all. I just kind of just randomly put them a little big. This is how I get my, oh man, this smells so good. This smells so good, y'all. I love this one. Okay, y'all, what I'm trying to do is scrape the bottom of the, you know, we don't like to leave stuff. Okay. It's going in the same place anyway. Put some right there. Put some here. Because what I'm going to do after it is, this is how I get my textures. Okay, so let me do the blue one now. I think I got more blue left. No, probably the same. Yeah, I did have more blue left. I must have didn't measure as accurate as I thought, but you know what? I will say this because I measured it out. I did a whole lot better on this one. If you've been following me, y'all notice I'm proud of myself because it didn't seize up. And let me tell you, when I was making the bigger batches, I did not have this problem. Or when I made the little batches, but it's like something about being in when it says lights, camera, action. It's like, you know, you only got one shot at it. And my poor daughter, she can only edit so much, you know, so anyway. Okay, so then I take the spoon and I just kind of do this. First, let me do this down here. Okay, then I kind of just do this. And I go back and I do this. And I come up. And then I turn it around because this is where I kind of want them kind of the same on this part here. Okay, so after I do all of that, spray it down with some alcohol. Let's go over it one more time. Okay, there it goes. Sometimes you have to do that. Well, at least I do. Okay, there it is. There's that. That's what I wanted. Okay. Okay. Now, this is what I do. I take a few of these, put it in here. What I don't use, of course, I just put back in, but because I just wanted to have that, you know, some wildflowers. And you'll see when it finishes, and I'll show you the sample that I've done. I just love, I know I keep saying that, I love the smell. Let me tell y'all, I have really bad allergies, and I love, you know, I just love soaps that smell good, and candles, because if it doesn't, I have a really bad sinus headache. And so a lot of times, no, not a lot of times, all the times, my soaps are gonna be, I love not just floral, but all scents, citrus, floral, all, but they have to agree with me. It's just one of those things because of, you know, my allergies. And there you have it. And so this is what it looks like, and I'll see you guys at the this is, I think I showed y'all this, but I'm showing y'all again. So this is what it's going to end up looking like when I'm finished. I'll see y'all at the cut. Bye. Okay, so now we're getting ready to do the cut. And let me tell you, I am already, before I do the cut, I am really excited because look, my line is straight, see? So I did something right so far. Okay, here we go. I'm cutting it this way down. Okay, let's see. All of these flowers. Ooh, look, y'all. See? Looks like a tie. That's the skirt. This is the shirt. And there's the tie. Ooh, hoo, hoo. I'm looking. I'm excited. I'm excited. Look at that. See? Let's see. There you go. See? Look how straight. I really like this. Look at this. And this is Faithful Ruth. After I clean them up and bevel them and put my stamp on it, they will be ready November 1st along with the other ones. And I think y'all are gonna, when y'all see the big reveal of how we're doing it, you're really gonna like this. This will make a nice, beautiful Christmas present for anyone in your life. This is so nice. Oh, look at this. Look, it's straight all the, oh man. Okay, can't be perfect. There's one little dip. You see that? One little dip. But other than that, that's an end. Let me see if I can clear some of this off of this end. And of course, this will be just a sample, but got that off of there. Look at that. Okay. There. Let me see. These blue flowers, they get all, but that's okay. Let's clean it afterwards. There you go. And there you go. There you go. Okay. Thank you for watching.